Betty Neumar was known in her small North Carolina town as a sweet, charming woman with an air of sophistication. Born in 1931, she had been married 5 times, which earned her the nickname Black Widow from neighbors who whispered behind closed doors. Each of her husbands had died under strange or tragic circumstances, but it was not until 2008 that authorities began to suspect there was something far more sinister behind Betty's sweet exterior. The case that drew attention was the 1986 shooting death of her 4th husband, Harold Gentry, in Norwood, North Carolina. Harold, a retired Army veteran, had been shot multiple times in his home. At the time, police believed it was a burglary gone wrong and no charges were filed. Betty had seemed devastated. She collected thousands of dollars in life insurance payouts. 2 decades passed before Gentry's brother, Al Gentry, started to push for a reinvestigation. He never believed the official story. Harold had told him weeks before he died that Betty had been acting strangely. He also said he had increased his life insurance policy at her request. Al continued to pressure authorities, eventually prompting a cold case review. Investigators reopened the file and began to dig into Betty's past. They were shocked by what they found. Her first husband, Clarence Malone, was shot in the back of the head in 1970 in Ohio. That case remained unsolved. Her second husband, James Flynn, allegedly died by suicide in 1955. The third, Richard Sills, was reported to have died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound in 1967, though there were doubts. After Harold Gentry's murder in 1986, her 5th husband, John Neumar, died in 2007. Though initially ruled as natural causes, the circumstances of his death were questionable. The pattern was clear. Each husband died under suspicious conditions. Most of the deaths were gun-related or sudden, and in several cases Betty had financially benefited from life insurance policies. With the trail of bodies stretching across decades in multiple states, law enforcement realized they may have been dealing with a serial offender who had escaped justice for over 40 years. In 2008, Betty Neumar was arrested in Augusta, Georgia, and charged with hiring a hitman to kill Harold Gentry back in 1986. A former police officer claimed Betty had offered him money to murder her husband. Though the hitman backed out, Harold was killed soon after by someone else. The timeline and testimony provided enough grounds for the arrest. Betty maintained her innocence. She posted bail and returned to Georgia, where she awaited extradition and trial in North Carolina. Meanwhile, police departments in several other states began reviewing old files connected to her previous husbands. But before those investigations could progress, Betty died in June 2011 from cancer at the age of 79. Her death left many questions unanswered. She had never been tried or convicted. Several family members of her deceased husbands felt justice had been stolen from them. Some investigators believe Betty may have been involved in as many as 5 suspicious deaths, all of them men she had married and financially benefited from. To this day, Betty Neumar remains one of the most chilling examples of a person who walked among the unsuspecting public while carrying a dark and deadly secret.